In this lesson, we're going to go over some basic math operations involving negative numbers as well as decimals. And so first we're going to do adding and subtracting with negative numbers. So the first problem is 7 plus negative 4. And a good way to visualize this is if we draw out 7 little plus signs, and then we draw 4 minus signs. And to see how they combined, we know that a positive and a negative will cancel. So if we have 4 negative signs, they're going to cancel out 4 of the positive signs. So we're left with 3 positive. So that gives us an answer of 3. And if we do the same thing for the next problem, we have 8 negatives minus 5, so minus 5 is the same as another 5 negatives. So we can see that we don't have anything that's going to cancel here, so our negatives are just all going to combine to give us a negative 13 as our final answer. And it also helps if you wanted to look at a number line as another way you could visualize this. And then now we're going to do multiplication with negatives. And so we have negative 2 times 3, and since we only have one negative sign, we're going to get a negative 6. And the next problem is the same, except we have 2 negative signs, so negative 2 times negative 3. And what we have to remember is when we're multiplying and dividing 2 negative numbers, or 2 negative signs, we can say, will give us a positive value. So since we have 2 negative signs, we're going to get a positive value, so we're going to get a positive 6 as our answer. Now we're going to do dividing decimals. And so we have 0.45 divided by 3.6. And the first step when we do these is we want to move the decimal so the divisor is a whole number. And then after we do that, we have to move the dividend decimal the same amount, so it's balanced. And so looking at our two numbers, we can see our divisor is 3.6, which isn't a whole number. So in order to make it a whole number, we're going to move the decimal one place to the right to give us 36. And then we need to move our dividend one place over as well. So it's going to go from 0.45 to 4.5. And so now that we've done that, we're just going to divide like we normally would, and then we'll place the decimal at the end. And so we're just kind of going to ignore the decimal, and we can say that 36 goes into 45 one time. And so if we just work out our math here, we know that this will give us a remainder of 9. So we're going to add a 0 so we can finish off our math here. And so 36 will go into 90 twice. And so 36 times 2 is 72. And if we subtract this, we'll get 18. So we need to add another 0. So 36 will go into 180 5 times. And so 36 times 5 is 180. So now that we've finished dividing, we need to place our decimal. And when we do this, we just look at our dividend under our little dividing bar, and the decimal will just move straight up. So it goes right up here before the 1. So our answer will be 0.45 divided by 3.6 gives us 0.125. And now when we multiply with decimals, we can just ignore the decimals again to start off with and multiply like normal. So if we have 3265 times 96, if we do our math, 5 times 6 is 30, 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 gives us 39, 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 gives us 15, and then 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So then we use our 0 placeholder and do the next row of multiplication. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 6 is 54, plus our 4 gives us 58. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 5 will give us 23. And then 9 times 3 is 27, plus 2 gives us 29. So now if we go through and add these, we can just add across. And once we go ahead, and so we get 313440, and we haven't placed our decimal yet, so we don't really know exactly how big this number is. But in order to do that, we look at our two individual numbers that we started with. So we had 3.265. And in here, the decimal was over 1, 2, 3. So the decimal is 3 places over. And then we have 0.96, where it's 1, 2. So the decimal is 2 places over. So this tells us that our answer will need to be 5 places over from the right, because we moved over 3, we moved over 2, 2 plus 3 is 5. So if we go back over to our answer, we move over 5 places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get a final answer of 3.1344. And that is how we would multiply with decimals.